The manila folder felt heavier than it should have. I set it down on the kitchen counter of the Lakehouse, my Lakehouse, and looked at my daughter-in-law standing by the window with her arms crossed. Behind her, Flathead Lake stretched out like hammered silver under the Montana sky. My wife and I had built this place 40 years ago, log by log. "We're not asking any more, Tom," Jennifer said, not turning around. "We're telling you. Either you sign the property over to us so we can do this renovation properly, or we'll have no choice but to explore other living arrangements for you. You're 62. It's time to think about your future care needs." My son Michael sat at the table, staring at his coffee. He wouldn't look at me. I'd been in this kitchen when the ultrasound showed Michael's heartbeat for the first time. My wife Sarah had cried, pressing the grainy photo against the window, the lake behind it. We'd talked about how our grandkids would learn to fish off our dock someday. Sarah died 3 years ago. Pancreatic cancer, 6 weeks from diagnosis to funeral. "Other living arrangements," I repeated. "There's a very nice facility in Kalispell," Jennifer said, finally turning. Her smile was practiced, the kind she'd used when she was selling houses. "We've already done a tour. They have activities, Tom. Social opportunities. You'd have people your own age to talk to instead of being isolated out here." I looked at the folder. Inside were the documents she wanted me to sign. I'd spent 2 days reading them, making notes, consulting with my old colleague Ben, who'd gone into real estate law after retiring from the firm. "The renovation budget is $800,000. I said quietly. "You're planning to add 4,000 square feet, put in a commercial-grade kitchen, build a boathouse. Then you're going to list it for $3.2 million. Jennifer's smile didn't waver. "It's called investing in the property, creating value. Something your generation doesn't always understand. And you've already taken out a line of credit against it, $250,000, without my signature, which means you forged documents." The smile cracked. Michael's head snapped up. "What?" "Your father is confused," Jennifer said quickly. "He's been forgetting things lately. We've been worried about it, haven't we, Michael?" I walked to my bedroom and pulled out the suitcase from under the bed. It was the same one Sarah and I had used on our honeymoon to Glacier National Park. Still had the park sticker on it. When I came back out, Jennifer was on her phone. Michael was standing now, his face pale. "Dad, what are you doing?" "Leaving," I said. "Like your wife suggested. I'm going to think about my future care needs." I picked up the folder and tucked it under my arm. "You can't just leave," Jennifer said, lowering her phone. "This is ridiculous. You're being childish." "The property is in my name," I said. "Has been since 1983. You've been living here rent-free for 14 months. That ends now. I'll be in touch through my attorney about the credit line fraud and the 3 months of utility bills I just discovered you haven't paid." "Dad," Michael started. But I was already walking to the door. "Wait." Jennifer's voice had changed, lost its smooth edge. "Tom, let's talk about this. We can work something out." I stopped at the door and looked back at my son. "I love you, Michael. I always will. But I won't be anyone's obstacle or meal ticket." Then I walked out to my truck, loaded my suitcase in the back, and drove away from the only home I'd known for 40 years. In the rearview mirror, I saw Jennifer on the porch, her phone pressed to her ear, already making calls. I didn't cry until I was past Big Fork. Let me go back to the beginning, to when this all started. Michael met Jennifer at a real estate conference in Seattle. He was there representing his tech company. She was selling commercial properties. 6 months later, they were engaged. Sarah had reservations, the kind mothers have, but she'd been too sick by then to voice them loudly. "Just watch him," she'd whispered to me one night in the hospital. "Make sure he's okay." The wedding was nice. $20,000 I was happy to spend. Jennifer's family didn't contribute much. Her father had gambling debts. Her mother lived in Arizona and sent a card. I didn't judge. Sarah taught me that everyone's carrying something. The first year was fine. They lived in Seattle, visited for holidays. Jennifer was charming, always bringing gifts, always complimentary about the Lakehouse. "It's like a postcard," she'd say. "You're so lucky, Tom." Then Michael's company downsized. Tech sector crash, cutting middle management. He got a decent severance, enough for 6 months if they were careful. That's when Jennifer suggested they move to Montana temporarily, just until Michael finds something. She'd said over the phone, "The Seattle rental market is brutal right now. We could save money, be close to you. It would be good for Michael to decompress." Sarah's voice in my head, "Watch him." "Of course," I'd said. "Come home." They arrived in September, with a U-Haul full of furniture. Jennifer immediately started talking about improving things. The furniture was too rustic, the kitchen outdated, the deck needed replacing. "We're not staying long," Michael had said, seeing my face. "Don't worry about it." But Jennifer kept talking. She'd bring her laptop to dinner and show me Pinterest boards of Lakehouse renovations. "Look at what we could do with the master bedroom. Open up that wall, add French doors to a deck. It would increase the value significantly." "I don't want to increase the value," I'd said. "I want to keep it the way Sarah designed it." Jennifer had smiled, that real estate smile. "Of course, I'm just thinking out loud." Michael got interviews, some in Bozeman, some in Missoula, one back in Seattle, but nothing materialized. The severance ran out. I didn't ask them for rent. He was my son. They were struggling. Then Jennifer stopped working entirely. "The Montana real estate market is dead," she'd announced. "It's not worth my time until things pick up." But she wasn't looking for other work either. She was home all day, rearranging furniture, talking on the phone with contractors, getting quotes for renovations I'd never authorized. At month 4, she asked me to co-sign a car lease. Michael's old Subaru was on its last legs. "Just a signature," she'd said. "We'll make all the payments." I'd done it. For Michael. At month 6, she suggested, "I hire them for property management. You're getting older, Tom. You shouldn't be doing all this maintenance yourself. Let us handle it. We could draw a salary from what you'd pay an outside service anyway." I'd started keeping receipts then, writing down dates. The engineer in me, documentation habits from 40 years of project management. Month 8, Jennifer wanted to add her name to the utility accounts, for convenience, so we can handle any issues that come up. I'd said no. That was the first time I'd said no to anything. Her face had changed, just for a second, like a mask, slipping. "You don't trust us," she'd said. "It's my house," I'd replied. Michael had mediated, asked me to understand how stressful this was for them, how hard he was looking for work, how much they appreciated my support but also needed to feel like partners, not charity cases. I'd softened, apologized, told myself I was being paranoid. Month 10. I discovered she'd been telling people in town that the Lakehouse was theirs, that I was living with them. The waitress at Charlie's asked how it felt to move back in with my kids. Wasn't it nice they had room for me? I'd corrected her gently, but the damage was done. Jennifer was rewriting the narrative. Month 12. Contractors started showing up. "Just getting estimates," Jennifer would say, "for future planning." But then one of them, guy named Derek, started coming by even when there was no work to estimate. I'd see them talking by the dock, Jennifer laughing at something, touching his arm. I didn't say anything. It wasn't my place to police my daughter-in-law's friendships. Michael finally got a job offer. Good one, in Bozeman, starting in 2 months. I'd felt relief wash through me like cold water. "That's wonderful," I'd said at dinner. "Congratulations." Michael had beamed. "Thanks, Dad. It's been a long road." Jennifer had been quiet, pushing salmon around her plate. Later that night, I'd heard them arguing, Jennifer's voice carrying across the log walls. "We're not leaving. We've been here over a year. Tom's getting older. He needs us. And this place is worth millions. Millions, Michael. Are you really going to walk away from that?" I couldn't hear Michael's response. The next morning, Jennifer was all smiles again. Michael looked tired. A week later, she'd presented the renovation plan. Professional binders, architect drawings, market analysis, the works. "We want to help you, Tom," she'd said. "Increase the property value. Create something really special here. But we need you to transfer ownership to us so we can secure the proper financing and permits." "No," I'd said. "Dad," Michael had started. "Just hear her out." I heard her. The answer is no. That's when things accelerated. Jennifer started pointing out my Forgetfulness. Repeating questions I'd already answered, then acting concerned when I said I'd already told her. Leaving the stove on and suggesting I'd done it. Once, I found my wallet in the freezer and couldn't remember putting it there, though I suspected I hadn't. "We're worried about you," Michael had said. "Maybe you should see someone. Get checked out." "There's nothing wrong with me," I'd said. But doubt crept in. I was 62. Sarah had been 59 when she died. Was I forgetting things? Slipping? I'd started writing everything down. Times, dates, conversations, the engineer's mind, creating documentation. Then came the discovery about the credit line. Ben had called me. My old colleague from my engineering days, the one who'd gone into real estate law. "Tom, this is delicate," he'd said, "but I was having lunch with someone from First Montana Bank. Your name came up. Something about a property credit line?" I'd gone cold. I haven't taken out any credit line. That's what I thought. "You might want to look into that." It took me 3 days and multiple calls, but I got the documentation. Someone had taken out a home equity line of credit for $250,000 against the Lakehouse. The application had my signature, but it wasn't my signature. Close, but not quite. The T was wrong, the O too, rounded. I'd taken it to Ben. "This is forgery," he'd said immediately. "You need to report this. My son is either in on it or being lied to. Either way, Tom, this is serious fraud." I'd sat in Ben's office, looking at the papers, and felt something inside me calcify. That night, I'd checked my filing cabinet. The folder with the property deed was there, but other documents were missing. Insurance papers. The original mortgage payoff from 1998. Tax records. I'd started gathering everything, making copies, storing them off-site. Then Jennifer had presented the ultimatum. Either sign over the property or move to assisted living. When Michael didn't object, didn't defend me, just sat there staring at his coffee, I knew. He might not have known about the forgery, but he knew what Jennifer was doing, and he was choosing her over me. So I left. The extended stay in Whitefish was clean and quiet. I paid for 2 weeks up front. The clerk didn't ask questions. I sat on the generic bedspread and looked at my phone. 4 missed calls already. All Jennifer. I turned it off. The next morning, I drove to Ben's office. "I want to press charges for the forgery," I said. "And I want to start eviction proceedings. They're not on the lease, not paying rent. They're occupants, not tenants. Montana law says I can evict with reasonable notice." Ben had nodded. 30 days written notice. "But Tom, are you sure? This is your son." "It's my home," I'd said, "and my name on the fraud paperwork." We'd filed everything that afternoon. The calls started in earnest around dinner time. I'd turned my phone back on long enough to see the notification count climb. 23 missed calls, 16 voicemails, 41 text messages. I listened to the first few voicemails. "Jennifer, Tom, this is ridiculous. Come home so we can talk like adults." Jennifer again. "I don't know what you think you're doing, but you're going to regret this. We have rights. We've been living here over a year." "Michael, Dad, please call me back. Jennifer's really upset. I don't understand what's happening." "Jennifer, the power company says you called and took us off the account. That's illegal. You can't just cut off our utilities." I hadn't done that, but it gave me an idea. The next day, I called the utility companies. The power had never been in Jennifer or Michael's names. It was mine. I informed them I'd be away and to send all bills and correspondence to a PO box I'd rented. Then I called the bank about the fraudulent credit line. "I need to report identity theft and document forgery," I said. The process was slower than I wanted, but they took it seriously. Filed a police report, froze the account, started an investigation. I also called the contractor, Derek. "This is Tom Richardson," I said. "I understand you've been getting quotes for work on my property. I want you to know that no work has been authorized by me, and I will prosecute any trespassing or unpermitted construction as theft and property damage." Silence on the other end. Jennifer said. "Jennifer doesn't own the property." "I do. Check the county records if you don't believe me." He'd hung up quickly. On day 3, Michael finally reached me. I answered, "Dad, what the hell?" His voice cracked. "You had Mom file a police report for fraud against Jennifer? Not against you, I noticed. She forged my signature on loan documents. That's identity theft and fraud. She was trying to help improve your property, without my permission, using my credit, stealing my equity. That's not Dad. She was trying to help you, trying to help us. By taking out $250,000 in my name?" Silence. "You knew," I said quietly. I didn't know I didn't know about the signature. But yes, I knew about the loan. She said you'd agreed to it. I never agreed to anything. She said you were forgetting, that you'd signed papers and didn't remember. I felt something crack in my chest. And you believed her over me? Dad, 30 days, Michael. You have 30 days from receiving the eviction notice to vacate. I suggest you start packing. You can't evict us. We've established residency. Check with a lawyer. Montana law is clear on occupants versus tenants. You've never paid rent, never had a lease. You're occupants. I can remove you with proper notice. I hung up. The text messages got uglier. Jennifer, you're a selfish old man. After everything we've done for you. Jennifer, Michael is having chest pains from the stress. If something happens to him, it's on you. Jennifer, we're not leaving. Try and make us. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I met with Ben and a private investigator named Carol, someone he'd worked with on messy divorce cases. I need to know what's going on at my property, I said. And I need to know what Jennifer Richardson has been doing with that credit line money. Carol was in her 50s, looked like somebody's friendly aunt. Surveillance on your own property is legal, she said. Financial investigation might be trickier, but I have sources. It took her 5 days. What she found made my hands shake when I read the report. The credit line money, $40,000 to Derek's construction company. Advance payment for renovations never approved. $60,000 to a luxury car dealership in Kalispell. New Range Rover registered to Jennifer. $20,000 in cash withdrawals. $15,000 to a law firm in Missoula, her own attorney apparently preparing documents. The rest scattered across credit card payments, online shopping, a trip to Scottsdale. She'd spent nearly half of it in 4 months. The surveillance photos were worse. Jennifer and Derek at a restaurant in Big Fork. His hand on her knee, meeting at a construction site near Lakeside. Him kissing her against his truck. 3 different dates. 3 different locations. Carol had been thorough. Phone records, too, obtained through means I didn't ask about. Hundreds of texts between them, planning their future. The Lakehouse renovated and sold. Jennifer divorcing Michael, the 2 of them moving to Arizona with the profits. She was going to bankrupt you and destroy your son's marriage, Carol said, all for a contractor with a nice smile. I sat in my extended stay room and looked at the photos. Michael's face at the kitchen table, not meeting my eyes. Choosing her, but not knowing this. I called Ben. I'm ready to finish this. Week 2, the eviction notice was served by a process server. Jennifer refused to accept it, tried to close the door. Didn't matter. Montana law just required good faith attempt at personal service. The calls became constant. I blocked Jennifer's number. Kept Michael's unblocked but didn't answer. Then the threats started coming through email. Jennifer's attorney sent a letter claiming elder abuse. That I was mentally incompetent. That Michael and Jennifer were caretakers who had given up their lives to help me. Ben responded with the police report about the fraud, the surveillance evidence, and a notice that I was preparing a civil suit for the stolen equity line funds. Her attorney stopped replying. Day 17, I got a call from the Flathead County Sheriff. Mr. Richardson? This is Deputy Morrison. We've had a report from your property. Your daughter-in-law claims you're trespassing. It's my property, I said calmly. I have the deed right here. I can send you a copy. Yes, sir, we'd appreciate that. And, sir, we've also got the fraud report on file. Just wanted to let you know we're aware of the situation. Thank you, Deputy. Also, sir, there's a Range Rover parked in your driveway with temporary plates. Might want to mention that to your fraud investigator. I smiled for the first time in 2 weeks. I'll do that. Day 23. Carol called me. You need to see this, she said. We met at a coffee shop in Columbia Falls. She slid an envelope across the table. More photos. Derek's construction company finances. He was underwater, behind on contracts, facing lawsuits. The $40,000 Jennifer had given him went straight to creditors. She wasn't his meal ticket, Carol said. He was using her to stay afloat, my guess. Once he realized the Lakehouse scheme was falling apart, he disappeared. Haven't seen him at the property in a week. She was playing my son, I said slowly. But she was being played too. Grifters usually are, Carol said. Day 28. I drove back to the Lakehouse. The Range Rover was gone. So was Michael's Subaru. But there were lights on inside. I let myself in with my key. Jennifer was in the kitchen, drinking wine. She looked like she'd aged 5 years. Makeup smeared, hair unwashed. You came back to gloat, she said flatly. I came back for my home. It's not yours anymore. I've given my life to this place. 14 months of cooking and cleaning and taking care of an old man who doesn't appreciate anything. I set my folder on the counter, the same one from that first day. You spent $241,000 of fraudulently obtained money in 4 months, I said, including $40,000 to your boyfriend who's now ghosted you. The bank wants repayment. I can either press full criminal charges, which means jail time, or you can work out a repayment plan and disappear from my life. Her face went white. You had me followed. I protected my interests. Where's Michael? He left. Went to Bozeman for his job 3 days ago. Her voice cracked. Sadie couldn't look at me. Because you told him about Derek? He found texts. I was stupid, left my phone out. She laughed bitterly. I was trying to build something. A real future. Derek understood that. He had vision. He had depths. You were his bailout, not his future. She threw the wine glass. It shattered against the log wall Sarah and I had raised together. Get out of my house, I said quietly. It should have been mine, Jennifer said. You've had your life. Sarah's dead. You're just waiting around to die too. Michael and I could have actually done something with this place. I walked to the door and opened it. You have 48 hours. After that, the sheriff will remove you. She was crying now, mascara streaming. I have nowhere to go. That's not my problem. I left her there and drove back to Whitefish. Called Ben from the parking lot. She's still there, I said. Give her 2 days, then execute the final eviction order. Tom, are you all right? I looked at the sunset over the mountains, the sky going purple and orange. No, I said. But I will be. I didn't go back to the Lakehouse for another week. Ben called to confirm Jennifer had left. The place was trashed. Food left out. Wine stains on Sarah's handmade quilts. Holes punched in the drywall. It took me 3 days to clean it all. Some things couldn't be saved. I threw out the quilts, patched the walls, scrubbed the floors. I was spackling the last hole when Michael called. Dad. I kept working. Had him on speaker. Michael. Jennifer's staying with her mom in Arizona. She's agreed to a repayment plan for the stolen money. $5,000 a month for the next 4 years. That's assuming she keeps paying. Yeah. Long silence. I filed for divorce. I stopped spackling. I'm sorry. No, you're not. I'm sorry you're hurt, I said carefully. I'm not sorry she's gone. She said you'd have me arrested too. For the fraud. Your name wasn't on the forged documents. You didn't benefit directly from the stolen money. I'm not pressing charges against you. Just taking everything else. I set down the spackling knife. What do you want me to say, Michael? That I should have let her steal my home? Let her destroy what your mother and I built? She was my wife. And I'm your father. But you chose her. You sat there and let her threaten me with assisted living. Let her call me senile and incompetent. You didn't defend me once. Silence on the line. Then, quietly, I know. I love you, I said. I will always love you. But I won't be disrespected in my own home. I won't be anyone's mark or obstacle. I start the job in Bozeman next week, Michael said. New apartment. Fresh start. Good. I'd like to visit. Eventually, when things cool down. I looked around the Lakehouse. The logs Sarah and I cut, the windows we installed, the dock where we taught Michael to fish. "There's always a room for you here," I said, "but just you. And you're always a guest, not an owner." "I understand." He paused. "I really am sorry, Dad." "I know you are." After he hung up, I went out on the dock. The sun was setting over Flathead Lake, turning the water gold and copper. Sarah and I had watched sunsets here for 37 years. I'd protected what we built. But the cost was my son's trust, his marriage, and the future we'd imagined where grandkids learned to fish off this dock. The Lakehouse was mine again, but it felt emptier than it ever had. Carol called a week later. "Derek skipped town," she said. "Left contractors unpaid all over Flathead County. You're not his only victim." Not surprised. Jennifer's attorney contacted the DA about a deal. She'll testify against him if they find him, in exchange for reduced charges on the fraud case. Will they find him? Eventually. Guys like that always surface somewhere else, running the same con. I thanked her and paid her final invoice. Then I sat on the porch and watched tourists water ski across the lake. Sarah's voice in my head. "Did you do the right thing?" I didn't know. I'd protected our home, enforced boundaries, refused to be taken advantage of. But I'd also lost my son, at least for now. Damaged a relationship that might never fully heal. I did what I had to. I said out loud to the empty porch. The lake didn't answer. Michael did visit, 3 months later. Awkward at first, both of us careful with our words. He looked thinner, older. The divorce was almost final. Jennifer was fighting for spousal support. "Let her," I said. "You're employed now. Give her what the court says and move on." We went fishing, like we used to when he was a kid. Caught nothing but spent 4 hours on the water not talking about anything important. When he left, he hugged me at his car. "I'm sorry, Dad, for all of it. I know. She got in my head. Made me think you were the problem. That's what manipulators do. I should have seen it." I looked at my son, 41 years old, carrying the weight of his own mistakes. We all want to believe the people we love. It's not a weakness to trust. It's only a mistake when you ignore the evidence. He drove away as the sun set. I went inside and made dinner for one. The Lakehouse is quiet now. I've hired a local kid to help with maintenance. He comes twice a week. We work together. I pay him fairly. He doesn't try to take anything that isn't his. Some days I think about selling. Moving somewhere smaller, somewhere without memories in every log and nail. But then I remember Sarah's face the day we finished the roof. Her laugh when we christened the dock by falling off it together. Her hand in mine on this porch, watching the same sunset I'm watching now. This is our place. Built with our hands, filled with our life. Jennifer didn't get it. Derek didn't get it. Even Michael didn't fully understand. But I do. And that has to be enough.